Okay, welcome to day 2 of the fundamentals of language. What I want to do today is look at tenses or times in English. So you have 6 tenses in English. You have present, past, future, present perfect, past perfect, and future perfect. So again, that's present, past, future, present perfect, past perfect, and future perfect. Tenses basically give us information about when actions occur. So today I think, yesterday I thought, tomorrow I will think. So today I think is present tense, yesterday I thought is past tense, tomorrow I will think is future tense. As I mentioned, we also have the perfect tenses. So that's present perfect, I have thought, the past perfect, I had thought, and the future perfect, I will have thought. So let's use each of those in a sentence so we can hear what that actually sounds like. Present perfect, I have thought about grammar many times, or I have not thought about the tenses in language many times. I haven't thought about using tenses in English very much. I haven't thought about using tenses in English before. Past perfect, until you brought this to my attention, I hadn't thought about tenses in English at all. Before making this video, I had thought about tenses in English a lot in preparation. So that's past perfect. And future perfect sounds like this. By the end of this video, you will have thought about tenses in English for around 10 minutes. So the perfect tenses come from the Latin perfectus, which means to have done something thoroughly. And basically, at the time that we're using them, they're finished. The action has been completed. So, for example, when I say, by the end of this video, you will have thought about tenses for 10 minutes, in 10 minutes, the action will be completed. You will have thought, you will have completed 10 minutes of thinking about tenses. I'm not looking for you to have all 6 tenses memorized, but it's actually pretty easy. Past, present, future, and then for each of those, there's a perfect. So past perfect, present perfect, and future perfect. And so what I want to do is switch over now to a letter by Dr. Martin Luther King. In the 1960s, he was imprisoned in the Birmingham Jail for protesting during the Civil Rights Movement. During this time, he wrote a really amazing letter to some pastors who were arguing that his protests were actually not being done correctly, and he responds to it very well. And I definitely recommend reading the entire text. Here, we're going to look at one paragraph and try and understand why he uses the verb forms that he does, or rather, exactly what the verb forms mean that he uses in this text. So let's read the entire text together once before we actually try to solve it. So Dr. King says, one of the basic points in your statement is that the action that I and my associates have taken in Birmingham is untimely. Some have asked, why didn't you give the new city administration time to act? The only answer I can give to this query is that the new Birmingham administration must be prodded about as much as the outgoing one before it will act. We are sadly mistaken if we feel that the election of Mr. Albert Boutwell as mayor will bring the millennium to Birmingham. While Mr. Boutwell is a much more gentle person than Mr. Connor, both are segregationists, dedicated to the maintenance of the status quo. I have hope that Mr. Boutwell will be reasonable enough to see the futility of massive resistance to desegregation. But he will not see this without pressure from devotees of civil rights. My friends, I must say to you that we have not made a single gain in the civil rights movement without determined legal and nonviolent pressure. Lamentably, it is a historical fact that privileged groups seldom give up their privileges voluntarily. Individuals may see the moral light and voluntarily give up their unjust posture, but as Reinhold Niebuhr has reminded us, groups tend to be more immoral than individuals. So let's take a look at the second sentence. Some have asked, why didn't you give the new city administration time to act? What is the subject of this sentence? The subject is the person, place, or thing that does the action of the sentence. So in this sentence, the subject is some. It implies that some people have asked. Some have asked. So the subject is some. What is the verb of this sentence? Some have asked. What is the action of the sentence? The verb is the action of the sentence. Have asked is the action of the sentence. The verb is ask, but we have the present perfect form of the verb, have asked. And what is the direct object of the sentence? It's the entire question, because the direct object is that which receives the action of the verb, Or in other words, what is it that some have asked? What have some asked? The answer to that is, why didn't you give the new city administration time to act? So some have asked what? Some have asked the direct object, why didn't you give the new city administration time to act? Again, that's tricky because it's an entire sentence acting as a direct object, but that's okay. So again, the second sentence uses the present perfect form of the verb, have asked. It, at present, has already been completed. Some have asked. It sounds like the past tense, but by saying this in some have asked as opposed to some asked, it brings the verb closer to the present. It reminds us that this is something that is an actual topic. Because if I say some asked, why didn't the new city administration give time to act? It implies that that issue has already been closed. When I say some have asked, it brings this past action to the present and links the present relevance of the situation through this verb. Let's jump to the fourth sentence. We are sadly mistaken if we feel that the election of Albert Boutwell as mayor will bring the millennium to Birmingham. So in this sentence, we actually have three verbs. The first is are. So we are mistaken. We are mistaken. Okay, so what tense is that? Think about it for a second. What tense is that? We are mistaken. That's present tense because that's happening right now. We are mistaken. If we feel, okay, so we feel, what tense is that? What tense is feel? If we feel, it's present tense because we are mistaken if we feel now. If something is occurring in the present, then it is present tense. So if we feel, and then we have a big clause here. A clause is basically a sentence that's built in another sentence that's linked by a conjunction. The subject is the person, place, or thing that does the action of the sentence. So the election will bring the millennium to Birmingham. The election is the subject. The election of Albert Boutwell as mayor is the subject of the sentence. So what tense is in this clause? The election of Albert Boutwell as mayor will bring the millennium to Birmingham. What is the action of the sentence? It's bringing. Okay, so the verb of the sentence, the election will bring is the verb. It's just in future tense, right? The election will bring in the future what? The millennium to Birmingham, the direct object. What will the election bring? The election will bring the millennium to Birmingham. So the millennium is the direct object. So the election will bring the millennium, subject, verb, direct object. And again, that's future tense because it will occur in the future. Two sentences down, I have hope that Mr. Boutwell will be reasonable enough to see the futility of the massive resistance to desegregation. I have hope, subject, verb, direct object. I have hope. What is the tense of the verb to have? Dr. King says, I have hope. So that is present tense. In the present, Dr. King says, in the present, I have hope that Mr. Boutwell will be reasonable enough to see the futility of massive resistance to desegregation. Now, of course, I understand that Dr. King wrote this in the 1960s. However, that doesn't mean that he didn't write it in present tense because it was written for the present at that time. So Dr. King has hope. Dr. King has hope. That's present tense. Let's take a look at this next section, this next clause. He has hope that Mr. Boutwell will be reasonable enough to see the futility of massive resistance to desegregation. What tense? Well, first of all, what is the subject of the sentence? What is the person, place, or thing that does the action of the sentence? Mr. Boutwell will be reasonable enough. Mr. Boutwell, what is the action of the sentence? Will be reasonable. Will be reasonable. We hope that he, Mr. Boutwell, subject, will be reasonable. That's actually the verb, but reasonable is actually an adjective. We will get very shortly to these predicate adjectives. What I want to draw your attention to here is the tense. Okay, Mr. Boutwell will be reasonable. Will be reasonable is talking about in the future. He's not reasonable today, or he's not showing that he's reasonable today, but we're hoping that in the future he will be reasonable to see that resistance to desegregation is futile. The next sentence, but he will not see this without pressure from devotees of civil rights. What is the subject? What is the person, place, or thing who does the action of the sentence? Take a second, figure it out. Pause if you need a second. He, we're still talking about Mr. Boutwell. Mr. Boutwell will not see without pressure. What is the verb of this sentence? He will not see this. Seeing is the verb. He will not see. Okay, so the verb is seeing. What is the direct object? What is it that he will not see? This, which refers actually to the futility of massive resistance to desegregation. So he, Mr. Boutwell, subject of the sentence, will not see, verb, this direct object. Is this present tense? He does not see this today. Is this past tense? He did not see this yesterday. Or is this future tense? He will not see this tomorrow. It's future tense. He will not see this tomorrow.